Welcome to Sky Broking Commodity Weekly Market Commentary. Disclaimer: this weekly market commentary is for information purpose only. Before taking any decision, consult a financial advisor. Major data of this week has economic and inflation related data and the major events like ECB President Lagarde speaks and the US Fed Chairman Mr. Powell speaks on Wednesday. Now let's see the precious metals outlook. Gold and silver has news like markets from stocks to bonds and oil have been whipsawed by volatility in the past fortnight as investors await to see if the Fed will continue to aggressively hike rates in its bid to thwart inflation. Gold should see strong support at $1,800 level as global recession fears. Fundamentally, this is a positive news for precious metals and technically speaking, gold may expect a high volatility trade in between 50,050 to 53,271 until silver breaks below 58,000 levels, which means recovery rally is ahead. So these are this week's precious metals outlook. Now let's move on to see the energy outlook. First is crude oil. It has a news like fears of a recession and a seemingly ruthless Federal Reserve have wreaked havoc this month, with US crude posting back-to-back weekly losses for the first time since April. Fundamentally, this is a slight negative news for crude oil and technically speaking, crude oil may expect a short covering rally until break below 8,050 levels. Next is natural gas. It has a news like Russia's pipeline repair has Europe worried. Fundamentally, this is a slight positive news for natural gas and technically speaking, until natural gas has a close above 502 levels, which means profit booking is to be continued. So these are this week's energy outlook. Now let's move on to see the base metals outlook. First is copper. It has a news like copper concentrate TCRC stable. This is fundamentally a neutral news for copper and technically speaking, copper remains in negative bias until close above 704 ranges. Next is aluminum. It has a news like on the demand side, the power rationing has constrained the downstream demand as a whole. This is fundamentally a slight negative news for aluminum and technically speaking, aluminum may expect a negative range bound trade. Next is lead. It has a news like lead TCs down again. This is fundamentally a slight negative bias news for lead and technically speaking, lead may expect a profit booking rally. Next is zinc. It has a news like TCs remained steady under stable conditions, although market participants were mindful of the arbitrage volatility in the market. This is fundamentally a slight negative news for zinc and technically speaking, zinc may expect a profit booking rally. Next is nickel. It has a news like after increasingly bearish sentiment and growing macroeconomic uncertainty weighed down on the commodity markets. This is fundamentally a slight negative news for nickel and technically speaking, nickel may expect a negative consolidation phase. So these are this week's Commodity Weekly Market Commentary. For account opening, click the link in the description box below. Thank you by Sky Broking.